It was 7 in the morning when I heard the noise. It was not a normal knock. It was a violent crash, as if something heavy were being thrown against my front door. I got up, terrified, and through the peephole, I saw my son, Ethan, holding a sledgehammer. Right next to him, my daughter-in-law, Jessica, was screaming my name with a rage I had never seen before. I had changed the locks the night before, and they knew it. When Ethan raised his arm to strike again, a voice behind me said firmly, "I will handle this." The door opened, and what they saw on the other side turned all that fury into panic. But before I continue, make sure you are already subscribed to the channel and write in the comments, where are you watching this video from? We love knowing how far our stories are reaching. My name is Eleanor. I am 64 years old, and I never imagined the day would come when my own son would try to break down my door to throw me out of my house in Chicago. But to understand how I reached that point, I need to go back 5 months, to the day I opened my door and let in not just my family, but my own ruin. It was October. I had been alone since I lost my husband, Robert, 4 years ago. The house felt too quiet, too big for just one person. When Ethan called me saying he had lost his job and needed a place to stay, my heart filled with hope. Finally, I would have company. There would be life inside these walls again. He arrived on a Thursday with Jessica and their 2 children, Mason, who was 10, and Emma, who was 7. They brought suitcases, boxes, so many things. "Just temporary, Mom," Ethan assured me with a tight hug. "Just until I get back on my feet in the job market. 3 months tops." I arranged the rooms with love. I put on new sheets, fresh towels, and I even bought toys for the kids. I had watched my grandchildren grow from a distance, through quick and spaced-out visits. Now I would have the chance to be truly present, or at least that is what I thought. The first few weeks were good. I cooked for everyone, played with the kids in the backyard, and helped Emma with her homework. Jessica seemed grateful, always thanking me, always polite. Ethan went out early to look for work and came back tired at night. I did not mind taking care of everything. After all, they were my family. But then the small changes began. Jessica reorganized the kitchen without asking me. "It is just more practical this way, Eleanor," she explained with a smile. I let it slide. She changed the living room furniture, saying she needed more space for the kids to play. Robert's armchair, where he used to read the newspaper on Sundays, ended up in the garage. "It is really old, Eleanor. It is bad for the kids' backs." I swallowed the pain and accepted it. They were my grandchildren, my family living with me. I could make that sacrifice. It was in the 2nd month that things truly changed. Jessica started bringing her friends over for lunch without telling me. They took over my living room. They laughed loudly. They left a mess. Once, I heard one of them comment, "What a huge house, Jessica. It must be worth a fortune here in this neighborhood." My daughter-in-law just smiled and replied, "Well, yes, someday it will be ours." Those words froze me, but I tried to ignore them. Surely it was just a figure of speech. Nothing more. Ethan still had not found a job. He said it was tough out there, that the market was stagnant. I offered him help, money to take courses, to update his resume. He always accepted, but I never saw any results. I started to notice that he slept in late. He spent his afternoons watching television. He did not seem very worried about finding a new position. In the 3rd month, Jessica asked me for money. "Eleanor, I need $5,000 for emergency surgery. It is for my dad. He has a heart problem." She cried so much. She seemed so desperate that I did not hesitate. I went to the bank that same day and took the money out of my savings. 2 weeks later, I saw Jessica with a brand new, very expensive smartphone. When I asked her, she told me it was a gift from a friend. I did not believe her, but I said nothing. I did not want to create conflict. It was my neighbor, Mrs. Higgins, who planted the first seed of real doubt. She ran into me at the grocery store, and with that careful manner of someone afraid to hurt you, she said, "Eleanor, I saw your daughter-in-law yesterday at the mall. She was with bags from expensive stores, laughing with her friends. And I heard that her father passed away 3 years ago. He cannot be sick." I felt the ground disappear beneath my feet. I returned home in silence, with that information hammering in my head. She had lied to me. She had invented the illness of a dead father to get money out of me. That night, I waited for Ethan to arrive. I needed to talk to my son. I needed him to tell me there was a misunderstanding. Ethan, about that money I gave Jessica for her father's surgery. He did not even let me finish. So what, Mom? You helped us. We appreciate it. But didn't his father die years ago? The silence that followed was heavy as lead. Ethan looked at me with an expression I had never seen before. Irritation. Impatience. Mom, do not make things up. Jessica needs the money, and you have it. What is the problem? I tried to argue, to say that I felt deceived, but he interrupted me. Look, Mom, we are in a tight spot here. You have this huge house, this comfortable life, and you cannot help your own grandchildren? You cannot help your own son? Guilt washed over me like a wave. Was he right? Was I being selfish? I had so much, and they were struggling. Maybe I was exaggerating, being paranoid. But then came the night that changed everything. It was a Tuesday, almost midnight. I had gone downstairs for water when I heard voices coming from the patio. Ethan and Jessica were talking outside. I should have made noise, let them know I was there, but something made me stop and listen. How much longer are we going to have to put up with this? It was Jessica's voice, full of irritation. This old woman is always on top of us, always watching everything. Relax, babe, just a little longer, Ethan replied, and my heart started beating faster. That was my son's voice, but the tone was that of someone I did not know. We should have already made her transfer the house to your name. She is old, lonely. A judge would easily accept that you need to take care of her. I felt my legs shaking, but I kept listening, paralyzed. I know, Ethan continued, but it has to be at the right moment. If we rush, she gets suspicious. Let me keep working on her a little more. In 2 months, she will sign whatever we want. And then? Then we put her in a cheap state facility and sell this house. It is easily worth about $800,000 in this market. That gives us enough to buy a new condo and still have plenty left over. I could not listen to any more. My entire body was trembling. I went back to my room without making a sound, locked the door, and sat on the bed, trying to process what I had just heard. My son, the baby I carried in my womb, the boy I raised alone after his father left, the young man I helped pay for college by working 2 jobs, was planning to rob me. I did not sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling, at the photos of Robert on the wall, at the whole life I built in that house, and I understood that I had 2 options. Could I play the victim, cry, and accept my fate? Or could I fight? Robert always told me I was too strong to realize it. Eleanor, you have survived so many things in life. Never underestimate your own strength. He was right. I had raised a son alone. I had worked for years as a seamstress to give Ethan an education. I had cared for Robert during his illness until the very last day. I was not weak. I had simply forgotten. The next morning, I acted normally. I made coffee, prepared breakfast, smiled at everyone. But inside, I was changed. I saw everything with different eyes now. I saw how Jessica looked at my house as if it were already hers. I saw how Ethan avoided my gaze, as if he knew he was doing something wrong, but did not care enough to stop. I waited until everyone left. Jessica had taken the kids to school. Ethan had said he was going to look for work, although I already knew it was a lie. I grabbed my purse and went to downtown Chicago. I needed help and I knew exactly who to look for. Mr. Harrison had been an attorney for over 30 years. He had handled the estate when Robert died. He had helped me with the paperwork for the house. He was a serious, trustworthy, discreet man. When I entered his office, he greeted me with a warm smile. Eleanor, what a pleasant surprise. How long has it been? Sit down, please. I sat down, and for the first time since I had heard that conversation, the tears came. I told him everything. The move into my house, the lies, the stolen money, and finally, the conversation I had overheard on the patio. Mr. Harrison listened to everything in silence, taking notes, his face getting more and more serious. When I finished, he sighed deeply. Eleanor, what your son is planning is called misappropriation or financial elder abuse. It is a crime under the law. If he manages to get you to sign the transfer of the house under duress or deceit, he can be prosecuted criminally. I do not want to sue my son, I said immediately. I just want to protect what is mine. I understand. So we will do something different. He took a folder and began to explain. We are going to create a legal shield. I am going to prepare documents that place your house in a trust, a type of legal protection. You continue living here. You continue to be the beneficiary, but no one can take the house from you or make you transfer it without my authorization as the trustee or your attorney, not even your son. And if they try to force me to sign something, it will be worthless. The house will be legally protected. Also, he leaned forward. I recommend that you change the locks. It is your house. You have every right. And if your son tries to enter by force, he will be trespassing. The idea of changing the locks gave me a knot in my heart. It was like closing the door on my own son. But then, I remembered his words on the patio. Then we put her in a cheap state facility. He had already closed the door on me first. How long does it take to prepare those documents? I asked. A week. But Eleanor, there is something important. He looked me in the eyes. You will need proof of that conversation you heard, of their plans. Because if this ends up in court, your word against theirs might not be enough. It was then that I remembered something. My cell phone had a recording app that my friend had shown me months ago. I had never used it, but it was still there. Can I record their conversations? If it is in your own home, generally yes, depending on the context, but for your protection, getting evidence of their intent is crucial, and it can be the difference between keeping your house or losing it. I left the office with a plan. In the coming days, I would act as if nothing had happened. I would be the worried mother, the loving grandmother, the naive old woman they thought I was. But inside I would be preparing my defense. When I got home, everyone was already there. Jessica was in the kitchen making juice. Where were you, Eleanor? We were worried. I lied with an ease that surprised me. I went to the doctor, dear. Routine checkups. Oh, that is good. Health comes first. She smiled, but her eyes were cold. They were not fooling me anymore. That night I set my phone to record and left it hidden in the living room. I went to sleep early, or at least pretended to. I stayed in my room with the door ajar, waiting. Around 11 o'clock, I heard Ethan and Jessica go downstairs. They sat in the living room, right where my phone was hidden behind a vase, and began to talk. My heart was beating so fast I was afraid they would hear it from downstairs. Did you see how weird she is? Jessica said. Since yesterday she has been different. Relax. She does not suspect anything. It is just age. These old women get kind of paranoid. I am getting tired, Ethan. How much longer are we going to have to pretend we like her? I heard my son laugh. A low, cruel laugh. Not long. Next week, I am going to start talking about how it would be better if she had everything organized in the name of someone younger, for security. I am going to talk about accidents, about her getting sick. I am going to plant fear in her. And if she does not accept, she will accept. Didn't you see how she got when I told her she was selfish? She felt guilty instantly. It is just pushing the right buttons. She is weak. Always has been. I had to hold back the tears that wanted to fall. I could not make noise. I could not let them know I was listening. But every word was a stab wound. And then? Jessica insisted. After we have the house? Then? Then we make her sign a document saying she wants to go to a nursing home. Voluntarily. That way there is nothing she can accuse us of. She will be well taken care of, with food and a roof. And we can finally live the life we deserve. This house is worth so much. Jessica sighed. We can do so many things with that money. Exactly. And she has already lived enough. She had her marriage, raised her son, enjoyed life. Now it is our turn. I could not take it anymore. I went back to my room without making a sound, retrieved my phone, and listened to the recording. It was all there, clear as water. Their voices, their plans, the coldness. The next day, I took the audio to Mr. Harrison. He listened to everything with a face getting more and more serious. When it finished, he looked at me with a mix of sadness and determination. Eleanor, this is more than enough. This is conspiracy for financial abuse, coercion of an elder, attempted fraud. With this, we can not only protect your house, but if you wish, we can pursue criminal charges against your son. I do not want to sue him, I repeated. Despite everything, he was still my son. I just want them out of my house and to leave me in peace. Then that is what we will do. I will expedite the documents. In 3 days, everything will be ready and filed. Then you can ask them to leave. And if they do not leave, then we use the law. But, Eleanor, I recommend you change the locks before asking them to leave, because if your son discovers you know everything, he might get desperate, and desperate men do dangerous things. Those words scared me, but I knew he was right. I needed to be strategic, to think about every step. I spent the next 3 days in a strange state. On the outside, I was the usual Eleanor. I cooked, cleaned, played with my grandkids, but inside, I was preparing for war. I organized my documents, put my jewelry in a safe place, made copies of everything important. On Wednesday, Mr. Harrison called me. It is ready. You can come sign this afternoon. I invented some excuse about going to the bank and left. In his office, I signed page after page, documents that placed my house in an irrevocable trust, that named me as the lifetime beneficiary, that prevented any transfer without the express authorization of the attorney. When we finished, he handed me a thick folder. These are your documents. Keep them in a safe place. And this, he handed me a card. It is the contact for a trusted locksmith. He can go to your house tonight after everyone is asleep. He will change all the locks without making noise. I looked at that card. It was real. I was really going to do this. I was going to lock my son out of my own house. A part of me felt monstrous, but then I remembered his laugh on the recording, his plan to throw me in a home. Thank you, Mr. Harrison, for everything. Eleanor, you are doing the right thing, and if you need me for anything, I will be here. By the way, he hesitated. When you ask them to leave, I would like to be there. As a witness and to ensure everything is done legally, I agreed. Having someone by my side made me feel less alone. That night, I waited for everyone to sleep. Around midnight, the locksmith arrived. He was an older man, about 70, who had been working for decades. My daughter told me in a low voice, I have done this many times. For women fleeing violent husbands, for parents protecting themselves from addicted children. You are not alone in this. His words comforted me more than he imagined. He worked for 2 hours, changing the locks on the front door, the kitchen door, the garage. When he finished, he handed me a set of new keys. These are the only copies. Keep them safe. And if I can give you a piece of advice, when you have to face them, do not waver. People like that sense weakness and use it against us. I paid him and he left. I stood alone in the living room, holding those keys, knowing I had just crossed a line from which I could never return. But I did not regret it. The next morning, I called Mr. Harrison. Can you come tomorrow, Friday, early in the morning? At what time? 6:30, before they wake up. Come in through the back door. I will leave it unlocked. And stay inside until I call you. He understood immediately. Perfect. I will bring the documents and a process server, just as a precaution. When I hung up, I felt a mix of fear and relief. It was going to end. One way or another, on Friday it was all going to end. I spent that entire day nervous. Jessica noticed. Eleanor, you are pale. Do you feel sick? Just a little tired, dear. Nothing serious. The night from Thursday to Friday, I did not sleep a wink. I lay there waiting for time to pass, minute by minute. At 6 in the morning, I was already up, dressed, with fresh coffee made. At 6:20, I heard the back door open slowly. It was Mr. Harrison with another man in a suit, the process server. I let them in, offered them coffee. We stood there, in the kitchen, waiting. My heart was racing out of control. Would it go well? Would my son understand? Or would he try something worse? At 6:30 on the dot, I heard the first noise. Hurried footsteps on the floor above, a door opening, Jessica shouting something. Then, footsteps running down the stairs. My son and my daughter-in-law appeared in the living room, still in their pajamas, but already furious. When they saw me sitting calmly on the sofa, Ethan furrowed his brow. Mom, the lock on the front door is different. My key does not work. I know, son. I changed the locks last night. The silence that followed was heavy. Jessica was the first to explode. What did you do, lady? What do you mean you changed the locks? I changed them. It is my house. I can do whatever I want in it. Ethan took a step forward. His eyes were different. There was something wild in them. Mom, this makes no sense. Why would you do something like that? We live here. You lived here. Until today. I want you to leave. That was it. It was said. The words I had mentally rehearsed hundreds of times had finally left my mouth. And there was no turning back. Jessica let out an incredulous laugh. You are joking, right? Where are we going to go? That is not my problem anymore. Ethan came closer. His face was red with rage. Mom, I do not know what got into you, but we are not going anywhere. This house is as much mine as it is yours. You are going to give me the new keys right now. I will not. Yes, you will. He advanced in my direction, and for a second I felt real fear. But then the voice behind me spoke, firm and clear. She will not. Ethan froze. His eyes darted behind me toward the kitchen door where Mr. Harrison and the server had just appeared. The color drained from his face. Who are you guys? Jessica shrieked. I am Mr. Harrison, Eleanor's attorney, and this is Mr. Miller, a process server. We are here to ensure her rights are respected. Mr. Harrison walked into the living room with his briefcase, positioning himself next to me. His simple presence changed the entire energy of the room. He had that quiet authority of someone who had seen everything in life and was impressed by nothing. Good morning, Ethan. Jessica. He spoke with politeness, but firmness. I am here to inform you that, as of today, you no longer have legal permission to remain on this property. Eleanor is exercising her right to ask you to vacate her home. This is absurd, Ethan shouted. She cannot kick us out like this, out of nowhere. Actually, she can. This is her house. You were here as guests, and she is revoking that invitation. Jessica changed tactics immediately. The tears began to roll. Eleanor, what did we do? Please, do not do this to us. We have nowhere to go. And the kids? That mention of the kids almost broke me, but then I remembered their plan, the cheap facility, how they laughed at me. And I stood firm. You should have thought about the children before planning to rob me. The silence was total. Ethan and Jessica looked at each other. I saw panic in their eyes. What are you talking about? Ethan tried to put on an innocent voice. I signaled Mr. Harrison, who took a small recorder out of his briefcase and pressed play. Ethan's voice filled the room. It is just pushing the right buttons. She is weak, always has been. Then we make her sign a document saying she wants to go to a nursing home. Voluntarily. That way there is nothing she can accuse us of. I saw my son close his eyes. Jessica turned white as a sheet. Shall I continue? Asked Mr. Harrison, because there is more. There is the part where you talk about selling the house for $800,000. There is the part where you say your mother has already lived enough. There is quite a lot here, Mom. Ethan tried to approach, but the server took a step forward, blocking him. No, I said. My voice came out firmer than I expected. Do not call me Mom. You lost that right when you planned to throw me in a home and keep everything your stepfather and I built. I was not going to do that. It was just talk. We were angry, frustrated. You were planning, in detail, and it was not just once. It was several conversations. On several different nights, Mr. Harrison opened the briefcase again. I have here at least 4 different recordings, on different days, all with the same tenor. This is not momentary anger. This is premeditation. Jessica tried another approach. She fell to her knees dramatically. Eleanor, please. It was all my fault. I put those ideas in his head. Your son is innocent. But Ethan betrayed her instantly. Shut up, Jessica. You are not going to blame everything on me. He turned to her with rage. You were the one who said the house was worth $800,000. You were the one who researched the cheap nursing homes. And there, right in front of me, they began to destroy each other. Jessica screaming that Ethan was weak and manipulative. Ethan saying he married a gold digger. The server looked at Mr. Harrison, who just sighed. Enough, I said. My voice cut through the argument. I do not want to hear any more. You have until Sunday night to leave. You can take your clothes and personal belongings. Nothing else. On Monday morning I am changing the locks on the interior bedroom doors too, so do not even think about coming back. Mom, please. Ethan tried again, but now the tears were real. I am sorry. I was wrong. But you cannot do this. I am your son. You were my son. The Ethan I raised did not exist anymore, or maybe he never existed, and I was just seeing what I wanted to see. Mr. Harrison put a folder on the table. Just so it is clear, this house is in an irrevocable trust. Even if Eleanor wanted to, she cannot transfer this property to anyone without my authorization as the attorney. Any document you try to make her sign will have no legal value whatsoever. I saw defeat take over Ethan's face. It was in that moment he understood he had truly lost. There was no way to manipulate anymore. There was no way to cheat. About the $5,000 you took from me with lies, I said, looking at Jessica. I want it back. You have 30 days. Otherwise I am suing you for fraud. We do not have that money, she screamed. Then start saving, because I am not giving up. Jessica looked at Ethan, waiting for him to say something. But Ethan said nothing. He was standing in the middle of the living room, looking at me as if he were seeing a stranger. Maybe that was exactly what I had become to him. A stranger who would not let herself be manipulated anymore. You have until Sunday at 6 in the evening, repeated Mr. Harrison, taking some papers out of the briefcase. This is a voluntary vacate agreement. If you leave voluntarily, nothing else will be done. If you do not leave, Monday morning we begin the eviction process in court, and then things get much more complicated for you. Jessica snatched the paper from his hand. Her eyes scanned the lines looking for some legal loophole, some exit. She was not going to find it. Mr. Harrison was too good at what he did. And the kids, she said, changing tactics again. Are you going to put 2 children on the street? What kind of grandmother does that? Those words were made to hurt me, and they did, but I was prepared. The kind of grandmother who will not allow you to use her grandchildren as a shield. Mason and Emma are not to blame for anything, but you, as parents, have the responsibility to take care of them, not me. You were always selfish, spat Jessica. You always thought only of yourself. Ethan told me how cold you were with him as a child. I looked at my son. I was cold? When I worked 2 retail jobs to pay for your private school? When I stayed up late making your clothes because I did not have money to buy them? When I took you to the doctor even without having health insurance? Ethan looked away. He could not look at me. I gave everything for you. My voice cracked, but I continued. Everything. And you were willing to throw me away like trash. It was not like that, he murmured. It was exactly like that. You said, she has already lived enough, as if my life no longer had value, as if I were a burden that needed to be removed so you could get what you wanted. Tears rolled down my face, but they were not tears of weakness. They were tears of liberation, of anger, of pain, yes, but also of strength. Jessica threw the paper on the table. You are going to regret this. You are going to stay here alone in this huge house, with no one. You are going to die alone. I prefer to die alone than to live surrounded by snakes. The server coughed, calling attention. Ma'am, sir, I suggest you start organizing your things. Sunday comes fast. Ethan finally reacted. He took a step in my direction, and for the first time in my life I felt afraid of my own son. Do you think you are going to get away with this? Do you think you can just kick me out? I do not need to think it. I already did. My voice did not shake. We will see. The threat was clear in his tone. We will see. Mr. Harrison stepped between us. Ethan, any attempt at coercion, threat, or violence against your mother will be reported to the police immediately. And with the recordings we have, you do not want to complicate things even further. Believe me, there was a moment of tension where I thought Ethan would lunge at the lawyer. His fists were clenched, his face red. But then Jessica pulled his arm. Let's go. It is not worth it. She shot me a look full of hate. This old woman is not worth our time. They went up the stairs, slamming doors. I heard doors banging, voices raised, things being thrown. Mason and Emma woke up crying, not understanding what was happening. My heart broke hearing Emma's scared voice. "Mommy, why do we have to go?" I wanted to go up. I wanted to hug my grandkids, explain that it was not their fault, but Mr. Harrison touched my arm gently. "Do not go upstairs. The less contact now, the better." He was right. I knew it. But it hurt just the same. The server stayed for another hour to ensure there would be no violence. When he left, Mr. Harrison sat with me in the kitchen. "Eleanor, the next few days will be difficult. They will try everything to make you change your mind. They will use the kids. They will use emotional blackmail, maybe even threats. You need to stand firm. I know I will make it. If you need anything, you can call me at any hour. I left my personal cell on that card. Anything, and I mean anything seriously, call me." When he left, I was alone. The house was strangely quiet downstairs, but upstairs was chaos. I heard boxes being dragged, things banging, constant arguments between Ethan and Jessica. I went to the backyard. I needed air, space to breathe. I sat on the wooden bench Robert had built years ago, where we used to drink coffee on Sunday afternoons. I looked at the house, the second-floor windows where my son was probably cursing my name. How had I reached this point? At what moment did everything go so wrong? Mrs. Higgins appeared at the fence that divided our yards. She was at least 75, but sharp as a tack. "Eleanor, everything okay?" I heard noise early. I told her everything. I had no reason to hide it. She listened to everything in silence, nodding her head. "You did the right thing. I know it hurts, but you did the right thing. It does not feel like it. Because you are a mother, and a mother always feels guilty, even when the fault is not hers." She leaned on the fence. "Do you know how many women I saw in my life get destroyed by their own children? Dozens. And do you know how many had the courage to do what you did? Almost none. Most died alone in nursing homes, after signing everything over to the child and being forgotten." Her words comforted me more than I imagined. "Now hold on these days. Do not waver. And when they leave, rebuild your life. Because you still have time, Eleanor. You have a lot of life ahead. The next 2 days were the worst of my life. Worse even than when Robert died, because at least in his death there was love. There was legitimate mourning. Here there was betrayal, anger, resentment. Ethan barely spoke to me. When we crossed paths in the house, he looked away. But Jessica attacked whenever she had a chance. "You must be happy, right? You get to keep your big house all to yourself. I hope it is worth it when you are dying alone here." I did not respond. I had learned that responding only fed the fight. On Saturday morning, Mason came down to the kitchen. His eyes were red from crying so much. My heart shrank. "Grandma, why are you doing this to us?" I knelt in front of him. I held his small hands. "Mason, my love, it is not you. It was never about you or Emma. You did nothing wrong. But we are going to have to change schools. Mommy said we are going to live far away. I know, my angel, and I am so sorry, but this is something between adults that you do not have to worry about. Daddy said you are mean, that you are being selfish." That hurt more than anything Jessica had said. Ethan was turning my grandchildren against me. "One day you will understand, Mason. When you are older, you will understand that sometimes we need to protect ourselves, even from the people we love." Jessica appeared in the doorway. "Mason, come here. Do not talk to her." The boy looked at me with confusion before obeying. I saw him walk up the stairs slowly, dragging his feet. And once again, I had to swallow the tears and stand firm. Sunday arrived heavy, gray, threatening rain. They started loading their things early. There was a car belonging to a friend of theirs parked out front. Boxes, suitcases, bags, everything being put in the trunk, in the back seat, tied to the roof. The kids were quiet, scared. Emma saw me through the window and waved, shyly. I waved back, feeling my heart shatter into pieces. At 5:30, almost everything was out. Jessica walked past me carrying one last box. She stopped, faced me. "Do you know what you are? A bitter old woman who is going to die alone. And when you die, do you know who is going to inherit this house anyway? Us. Because you have no one else." Actually, I said calmly. "The house will go to my grandchildren when they turn 25. It is in the will. You two won't see a single cent." Her face turned purple with rage. For a second, I thought she was going to physically attack me, but she simply threw the box on the ground with force, breaking whatever was inside, and stomped away. At 6 o'clock on the dot, they were ready to leave. Ethan took one last lap around the house, as if he were recording everything in his memory. When he passed by me, he stopped. "You are going to regret this." "I will not." "Yes, you will, because you are going to grow old alone in this house. And when you need someone, you will have no one. Your precious grandchildren will forget you, and you are going to die alone, just like Robert died." That mention of Robert, of my husband, was too much. I felt the anger rise in my throat. Robert died surrounded by love. He died with dignity, with respect. And if I die alone, at least I will die free. Free of lies, of manipulation, of people who only want me for interest. Ethan looked at me for a long second more. Then he turned and walked away. He did not say goodbye. He said nothing else. He simply got in the car and drove off. I stayed in the doorway, watching the car disappear around the corner. The rain began to fall, light at first, then harder. And I stood there, letting the water wet my face, mix with my tears, when finally I went inside and closed the door. The house was in absolute silence, a different silence. It was no longer the heavy silence from before, full of tension and lies. It was a clean silence, empty, yes, but clean. I walked through the house slowly. The living room where Jessica had changed everything was messy, with marks on the floor where furniture had been dragged. The room where they slept had trash scattered, things broken on purpose. It was as if they had left destruction as a last revenge. But I did not mind. I could clean, I could fix, I could rebuild. I went to my room, sat on the bed, and for the first time in months I took a deep breath without feeling a weight in my chest. "Mrs. Higgins appeared at the back door an hour later, with a plate of food. I imagined you would not be in the mood to cook. We ate together in the kitchen, in silence most of the time. Words were not needed. She understood. The following week was strange. The house seemed too big, too quiet. I woke up in the morning, and for a second, I forgot they were gone. I made coffee for 4 people before remembering I was alone. I started cleaning the house for real. I threw out everything Jessica had left, all the changes she had made. I put my furniture back in its original places. I hung the photos of Robert back on the walls. Little by little, the house became mine again. Mr. Harrison called every day. "How are you, Eleanor? Do you need anything?" "I am fine, better than I imagined." "And about the money? Did they get in touch?" "No, and they won't, I know." "Then I will start the legal process next week." "Are you sure?" I thought for a moment. Did I really want to sue my son? But then I remembered. It was not about punishment. It was about justice. It was about showing that actions have consequences. I am sure. In the second week, I started going out more. I went back to the sewing group I had abandoned when they moved in. The women welcomed me with hugs, with questions, with support. Many of them had similar stories. Children who had tried to take advantage, families who treated them badly. "You were brave," said Mrs. Patterson, an 80-year-old lady who sewed like no one else. A lot of people do not have that courage. It was through the group that I met Susan. She was 60, also a widow, and had just gone through something similar with a daughter. We became friends quickly. She started coming over. We watched movies, cooked together, talked for hours. Do you know what I realized? She told me one afternoon, while we were drinking tea on my patio. We spend so much time defining our identity through being a mother, being a wife, being a grandmother, that we forget who we were underneath all that. She was right. I had been Eleanor the wife, Eleanor the mother. But who was just Eleanor? I began to discover it. I went back to painting, something I had not done since before I got married. I bought canvases, paints, brushes. I was not good, but it did not matter. It was just mine, something I did for pleasure, not obligation. I adopted a dog, a mutt from the street that Mrs. Higgins had found injured. I named him Scout. He slept in my bed, accompanied me around the house, sat in the yard while I painted. He was company without demands, love without conditions. In the 3rd month after they left, I received a call. Unknown number. Hello, Grandma? It was Emma. My heart raced. My love, how are you? Grandma, I wanted to apologize for what my dad and Mom did. I heard the things they said. I should have told you. No, my angel. It was not your responsibility. They got divorced, you know. My mom left. She said my dad was weak, that she deserved better. And my dad. My dad is different. He is bitter, angry all the time. I felt a pang of sadness, but not guilt. Ethan had made his choices. He was reaping what he sowed. And you and Mason? We are living with my dad in a small apartment in a rough part of town. It is not bad, but... She hesitated. We miss you, Grandma. The tears came. I miss you too. So much. Can we visit you? One of these days? Dad does not need to know. I thought about saying yes immediately, but I held back. Emma, I would love to see you, but it has to be with your father's permission. He is still your father, and I am not going to interfere in that. He is never going to let us. Then, when you turn 18, you choose. And then yes, you are welcome here always. We talked for another half hour. She told me about the new school, about how Mason was having a hard time adjusting, about how she missed our house. Every word was sweet and bitter at the same time. When I hung up, I cried. But they were not tears of regret. They were tears of longing, yes, but also of hope. One day, my grandchildren would understand. One day, they would come visit me of their own free will. Mr. Harrison got a court order for Ethan and Jessica to return the $5,000. They contested, of course, but the recording was too much proof. A judge determined they had 6 months to pay, or there would be criminal proceedings. It was not about the money. It never had been. It was about justice, proving that I was not the naive old woman they thought I was. In the 4th month, I changed the colors of the whole house. I painted the living room a light blue, which I always wanted, but Robert did not like. I changed the curtains for modern, light ones. I bought plants, lots of plants, and transformed a corner of the patio into a garden, small but full of flowers. Susan helped me. Mrs. Higgins, too. There was a day when there were 5 women here in the house, all our age, painting, laughing, telling stories. It was one of the happiest days I had in years. Today, 6 months after that rainy Sunday, I wake up, and the first thing I see is Scout sleeping at the foot of the bed. The second thing is the sunlight coming through the window, illuminating the blue wall I chose, and the third thing is the feeling of peace. It is not a perfect peace. There are still days I think about Ethan, that I wonder how he is, if he is okay. I still miss my grandkids. It still hurts. It will probably always hurt a little, but it is a different pain. It is not the pain of being used, manipulated, deceived. It is the pain of grief, of mourning for a relationship that died, for a version of my son that perhaps never really existed. Susan is coming over for lunch today. We are going to try a new recipe she found on the internet. Then, we are going to the movies downtown. There is a matinee showing of a French film we want to see. Tomorrow, I have painting class. Thursday, the sewing group. Friday, I am going out to dinner with 3 friends I made recently, all widows. All rediscovering who they are after years defined by their relationships. My life is not perfect. It is not full of family and grandchildren like I imagined it would be at this age. But it is mine, complete, totally mine. And there is value in that. There is dignity in that. The other day, I was at the grocery store when I saw a younger woman, about 50, being mistreated by her adult daughter in front of everyone. The daughter was screaming, calling the mother dead weight, saying she was tired of supporting her. I approached the woman when the daughter walked away. "Ma'am, are you okay?" She was crying. "I have nowhere to go. My daughter is all I have." I gave her my card. Yes, I had business cards made with my name and phone number. If you need to talk, call me. Sometimes we need to remember that we have options. I do not know if she will call, but I planted the seed, just like Mrs. Higgins planted in me when she said I had done the right thing. Yesterday I received an email from Emma. She created a secret email just to talk to me. She tells me about school, about her friends, about life. I answer her always, with love, with support. One day when she turns 18, I will be here waiting. Mason still does not talk to me. He is younger, more influenced by his father, but I have hope. Hope that one day he will understand too. Ethan sent a message 2 weeks ago through the lawyer. It said he had found a good job, that he was paying the installments on the money, and that one day he would like to talk to me, personally, to apologize for real. I haven't answered him yet. I do not know if I will. A part of me wants to believe he has changed, but the part that learned to protect itself tells me to wait, to see actions, not just words. Maybe one day. Maybe. For now, I am fine here, in my house, which became mine again, with my blue walls, my plants, my dog, my friends, with my life, which I am rebuilding piece by piece. Someone asked me the other day if I regret it. If it wouldn't have been easier to just accept, transfer the house to Ethan, go to the nursing home, keep the peace. I looked at the person and answered honestly. Easier? Yes. Better? Never. Because there are things that have no price. Dignity has no price. Self-respect has no price. The right to live your last years with peace, without fear, without manipulation, that has no price. I could have chosen the easy way. I could have let them convince me, signed the papers, ended my days in a cheap state facility while they sold everything Robert and I built. But I did not choose that. I chose to fight. I chose to defend myself. And yes, I lost my son in that process. I lost contact with my grandchildren, at least for now, but I gained something much more important. I gained myself back. I gained the right to wake up in the morning without fear, to look in the mirror and see a strong woman, not a victim, to know that whatever happens, I can count on myself. And in the end, maybe that is what matters. Not how many people are around you, but if you can look in the mirror and respect who you see there. I can. Finally, after so many years, I can. The door my son tried to break down that March morning was not just a wooden door. It was a symbolic door. The door of my life, of my dignity, of my right to exist without being used. And when that door closed with them outside, another door opened. The door to my new life, a life I am still discovering, still building, but that is truly mine. So yes, it hurt. It still hurts sometimes, but it was worth it. Every second of pain was worth it for the peace I have now. And if anyone is reading this, anyone going through something similar, I want you to know you are not alone. There are other women like me, like you, rediscovering their strength. And yes, it is scary. Yes, it is going to hurt. But on the other side of the pain is freedom. And freedom, my friend, is priceless. Now, if you like this story, click subscribe and tell me in the comments which part left your jaw on the floor. Oh, and do not forget to become a member to get access to exclusive videos that I do not post here. I will be waiting for you.